we're all ready to go. A screen's attached. We've got some thread on our thread mast, and I've got some of the accessories that I want to discuss with you and show you how we use them. In this session, I'm going to cover threading the machine. The thread path you'll already see because there will be a piece of thread that we've left in there. Don't take it out yet. We've got the tension assembly, and I'm going to show you how we change the needle, how we change the feet, and how we set the tension for the bobbin. These are all really important things, and the most important of all of those things is the bobbin tension. So definitely pay attention at that point. The threading up of this machine is quite straightforward, but you still won't know how to do it until I've shown you, because there are some key things. I would say the most important difference between a domestic and this type of machine is the fact that there is no presser foot mechanism to engage the tension disc. So on a traditional domestic sewing machine, that presser foot mechanism, you know how you drop the feet, what that is doing is simultaneously the tension discs are doing this around your thread. On this machine, it's like that the whole time. If I unthread from the needle this machine and I pull on the tension, I can find there's actually quite a lot of tension on that. And most people are a bit surprised by that. So looking at how that needle is threaded before you unthread it, and looking at how that is, why don't you take a photo with your mobile phone as well of your own machine, just to make sure that you know how it's been threaded up. There's a little hole above the needle, and that helps take the thread so that it precisely goes down the groove of the needle. But what I'd like you to do just for now is just pull very gently on that. Not very far because it's attached, but that's what we're going to be doing when we're testing our thread. Threading up. We have a choice of 4 places we can put our cones. These mini cones or the bigger ones, we use Glide a lot. We find it's a really consistent thread, and we find that it delivers good results, and it's extremely cost effective as well. The Glide thread, my preference on this machine is where this yellow-green one is. The name of this colour is Split Pea, in case you're wondering. It works really well on purple fabric. The cone is cross-wound, and what that means is it's designed to come up vertically. The way that it has been produced by the manufacturer, it's been wound onto that cone so that when it is dispensed, it can be taken straight up. That is what we must do. We must always make sure it goes through this little guide up here. After it's gone through the guide directly above the cone, you're now going to be putting it through this little Piggy Tail guide. This little Piggy Tail guide, it's very, very easy. Let me just unthread all of this. And yes, I can pull it backwards. It doesn't break the machine on this one. It does on others, but not on this one. Put that in the bin later. So it goes through the Piggy Tail guide like that. It literally comes up from underneath and around, and you don't have to feed it through. The next one is called the Pretensioner. The Pretensioner has 3 holes, and it depends on what thread you're using as to whether you put it through 3, 2, or 1 hole. You always put it through at least 1. If we're using Glide, my preference is 2. Some people put it through 3. If you're putting it through 3, you can skip the middle, if you're putting it through 2, you can skip the middle hole. When we put it through from the back of the machine to the front of the machine. So I'm going to be putting it through like this, and then again through the middle one, from the back to the front, and it's like a weave almost. So why don't you see how your machine has been threaded up, has Pete left it, and just you'll notice that he's done it like that. So now you can take that thread out of that Pretensioner and do that for yourself. Once you've done that, do not forget the next one. The next one is a nice little guide. As they say in Italian cooking, everything is there for a reason. And the engineers didn't put that on just for the hell of it. So it's really important that that guide is where your thread goes through. Just take it either side, above and below the guide, and just push it to the back. If your guide is too close to the machine head, you may find that you have to thread it through. If you want to adjust it, we can discuss it online, but what I would be getting you to do is getting a flat head screwdriver. It's probably just got pushed back in the foam packaging. We're going to get a flat head screwdriver and just ease it out of fraction so that you can just push it back. You don't want it coming out too easily, so it's a fine balance. This tension assembly, very, very important. These discs, there's 2 discs and there's a spring and there's a black knob. And you need to go left hand, right hand, holding the thread and standing above it. Go either side of that tension discs and literally, like you're flossing your teeth, do this, seesaw, and take up the slack and put it through. You should have some tension on that. To adjust the top tension, the Americans have a mnemonic to remember that by. It's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I nearly got that wrong. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So to the right or away from us is going to tighten the tension, and towards us or to the left, anti-clockwise, is going to loosen the tension. On this machine, there is also, on that black knob, is a little circle on the inside. That little circle will help you to work out whether you've done quarter, half, or a full turn. And one of the things that I'll be describing with you on our online session is adjusting this tension. It's a really important part of it, and actually it's great. It's a really simple way of doing the tension. After we've gone through the tension discs, there is a spring, and you need to go the other side of the spring, and then as we sew, that spring is supposed to move backwards and forwards, up and down. Underneath what's called the stirrup next. Trim off your thread so it's not too long for the next section. And then thread it through the take-up lever. Make sure when you do that that it is still underneath the stirrup. Then we've got a piggy tail, so just the same as we did before. You sort of come towards it and around, and you'll find it just threads it up. Pull on your tension at this point, test it out. It saves you a lot of time in the long run if you know that you've got your tension roughly right. And what I'm looking for is a degree of resistance. If it's too loose, you're not going to get a good stitch. Above the needle, you've got a little guide hole, which I mentioned before, helps to take the thread down the front groove of the needle. Do that, and then straight in from this side to the back with the thread. You have successfully completed step 1.